Hey double majors, welcome back to my channel. What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppington? If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brelynn. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Ring the bell that way you don't miss a notification from me, and follow me on my social media at brelynn.hunt. Wow, today's video, I'm excited. We have a lot of things to talk about. We have a lot of things to discuss. I feel like I apologize in advance if this video is A, very long, B, multiple parts, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be, and C, a little bit all over the place, but like this is my testimony. It's so important. I want to do it well. I want to tell it well because I really want for it to help other people out there. As you all know, I'm an incoming M1. We're never gonna get tired of saying that. And it has been a very long journey to get here. I have documented pretty much my entire pre-med experience. From the moment I stepped foot on Spelman's campus to this moment here, I have had some type of update video or vlog about the experience. But I really wanted to put it all in one place. You know, it can't be one place because it has to be multiple videos because it's just so long. There's a bit of this last leg that I haven't been able to share the inside scoop with you all. So that is a little bit what this video is going to be. I'm here to kind of narrate these diary-esque video clips. I think that's why I want to call this a bit of a docuseries, but I don't exactly know what the titles of these videos are going to be. So for now, let's just get into it. This is the full 8-year non-traditional pre-medical student story of how I got into medical school. Today's part 1 video, we're really going to focus on me redeeming my undergrad mistakes with my postbacc / special master's program. Now, as I mentioned, I have been on YouTube for 11 years. So before watching this video, you have a little bit of homework, a little bit of pre-reading, if you will, before attending this class. It's basically going to provide context because I'm just going to continue on my story of my road to medical school journey. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. You have so much lore to catch up on. Even if you're not new here, if you skipped a chapter, came in late, or if you want a refresher, I will have everything linked in the description box down below, as well as I think I should probably update my Becoming Dr. Brelynn playlist. That way you all can just watch everything in order from there. But basically, here are the key parts that have already been recorded. And I have my laptop here to try and keep me organized. So if you see me looking down, that's where I'm looking. As you all know, I attended Spelman College and I was a biology pre-med major. I have all 4 years vlogged on this channel. And then in 2018, when I graduated from Spelman, I made a video sharing my academic journey, and there I announced that I'd be matriculating into graduate school. That's an important start for context as to how my untraditional medical journey started, because when I say that my journey is untraditional, let me give a definition. Normally, when people have a traditional journey to medicine, that means that they go from high school to college straight to medical school. In that video, I even go into more detail about my high school life, what it was like being a biology pre-med major in college, some of the summer side quests that I did between working, shadowing, and studying abroad, as well as the details of my first MCAT prep course that I took at Spelman College during my junior year and my first MCAT attempt. In that video, I announced that I was going to be matriculating into North Carolina State University to receive my master's of physiology. Once again, I have an entire playlist of all of the vlogs from that time. That was a 2-year program, but after my first year at NC State, that's when I created the first Road to Medicine video. I say this all the time, you all know, I've wanted to be a doctor since I was 5 years old. I went into high school and in college knowing that I wanted to be a doctor, but I feel like this was the time where I was taking not just becoming a doctor, but specifically being a good medical school applicant seriously. So in that video, I kind of talked through my thought process of doing a real audit of my potential medical school application and created and shared my plan for improving it. I also have a few more videos during that time where I talked about how I didn't think that NC State was a good post-bac program, how it necessarily wasn't a good fit for me, and how I still had a lot of work ahead, why I didn't recommend my specific post-bac or special master's program to other people, and why I don't recommend a lot of these different special master's programs. I remember at this time considering leaving my program, but I'm not a quitter and I was already halfway through, so I just decided to finish out the degree, and I made a plan for what I was going to do after graduating in order to prepare me to apply to medical school. With that, I created 3 short-term goals for my gap years. Those were to improve my undergrad GPA, retake the MCAT, and gain clinical experience and references to write me recommendation letters. The next video in this playlist is going to be after I finished my graduate program in 2020. I shared more details about my experience, how I chose my pre-med post-bac program, and again, if I felt like it was even worth it. From there, I moved back home to Maryland and I started working as a medical assistant, scribe, and a surgical technician. I do have a good amount of medical assistant vlogs on my channel, but if you all have been there since then, you know that I was not able to film in the workplace. So that is actually when I took a little bit of a vlog break and I transitioned, and that's when the inception of A Work in Progress, my podcast, began. On that platform, I continue to speak more about my pre-med journey. So I will also have the A Work in Progress podcast playlist linked down below. I'm telling you all, this is your homework. This is the pre-reading. That's why I'm going to speed through all of this because a lot of people already know these things. They literally have watched me live it. But yes, let me keep going. While I was working as a medical assistant at that OBGYN office, I took a 6-month leave of absence to focus on studying for the MCAT. And then I ended up taking my second MCAT attempt in May of 2021. Now, I did take a social media sabbatical during this time, but I do have 2 really important videos that I think perfectly describe and showcase and document my second MCAT attempt. I actually have a few videos. I have one video talking about my MCAT routine. The one video, I think it's titled like my MCAT diaries. That one, they are video diaries of my entire time studying for the MCAT, the highs and the lows. I'm crying in that video. It shows you what it is really like to study for the MCAT, all succinct into one video. You are currently studying for the MCAT or any type of professional degree exam, or somebody that you know is studying for a similar exam. I highly recommend watching that video because I think that it gives a lot of language and a lot of context to what can be such a hard season for so many people. Speaking of it being such a hard season, the first podcast episode that I did for A Work in Progress, the podcast, was about my doubt, fear, and depression studying for the MCAT. By the way, there are video podcasts associated with all of the podcast episodes that I created. You can watch those podcasts here on this channel, but you can also listen to them on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Anyway, after I took the MCAT, I came back to social media and I immediately began crafting my first AMCAS application, and I applied to medical school for the first time. By December of that year, which at this point we are in 2021, I received the majority of my rejections and I decided to pivot into a post-bac program that had a direct linkage into medical school. All right, so here's the thing. I did create and upload an updated Journey to Medical School video at this time, but I actually removed it from my channel because I shared some aspects of my experience that weren't becoming of a professional in this industry. That was a perspective that I didn't have at the time, which is why I felt comfortable sharing it. I have grown in wisdom and I have also learned from my mistakes, and uploading the video in that way, sharing the details that I did at that time, was a mistake. I think it's a very hard balance between keeping it real and raw and sharing your experience, especially when those experiences are not positive, while also keeping a professional digital footprint. There were consequences for my mistakes, and therefore wisdom has been learned. Unfortunately, it has been learned the hard way. With that in mind, I am now here to share a disclaimer. I know will upset some, but I just can't let the pressure from those people push me into making the same or similar mistakes again. At the end of the day, the internet is a different place than when it was when I first started uploading YouTube videos in 2014. And I am also not the naive, bushy-tailed high school student graduating and trying to choose between Spelman and MCAT. I am now almost a 30-year-old woman entering a very professional and conservative field. There is an expectation of me to represent myself and any and all parties that I include in my story with grace and modesty. I didn't have that wisdom at that time. I felt like I was just being authentic and I was being genuine, and I still am going to be authentic and genuine, but I am going to focus more on me, myself, and I, not programs and people. Now I realize that speaking poorly, even in jest or in a moment of comparison or a moment of vulnerability or specificity of my experience, unfortunately will be taken the wrong way by the wrong people, and I cannot control that. All I can do is control what I say to the public here on my platform. Although I know that I always have pure intentions, they're not always received that way. So unfortunately, I have to move accordingly for the sake of my career. Like, I love YouTube, but I don't want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a physician. So if I'm going to continue to do this, I have to move smarter, which looks like moving differently while sharing my journey on social media and still being successful in the medical industry. Basically, I can't talk here. Email me. Okay. What that'll look like is, one, the decrease in specific naming of schools and programs, and definitely professors or administrators. When I first started on social media, my whole identity being the Spelman College vlogger. It was fun at first, and then it got really, really tiresome because I am so much more than that. I'm grateful that the people in the admissions at Spelman loved my channel and they welcomed me with open arms, but I've been to many schools since then. That has not always been the case, and nor can I assume that it will be the case for all of the places that I will enter in the future. I know that I wouldn't be here with this amount of following to this day if I didn't name all of my videos Spelman College vlogs, so I don't want to pretend like I don't know and understand that. I'm just saying that I think that it's wiser to move differently moving forward. I kind of liken it to if there were family vloggers who used to show their kids on the internet and then all of a sudden they realize, wait, it's actually really weird to show my child on the internet. I'm now going to start blurring my kids out. Some people may be like, we literally seen what your child looks like, or you used to post them, and they're like, that was then, this is now. We have a better understanding of what the internet is like. I don't want to post my kid on the internet anymore. I think it's weird. I don't think it's safe anymore. That is basically how I feel about moving forward with my medical journey. I want to try and be more discreet for the sake of being professional online. As you all just heard me mention, years and years of a digital footprint. More people are on the internet now, and in general, there's a different standard between a college vlogger and somebody who's matriculating into medical school. So I know that previously I focused on my experience at a specific school, but now in retrospect, even for my last degree, that really leaves me in a pigeonhole, because when I speak about a class, a professor, a tradition, an exam, it's not just hypothetical trademark that thousands of people now have about that school or that program. And I will say, I understand the downsides of this, because these real stories and tidbits that I was sharing with you all, these were factors that I found, and I'm sure you all found as well, to be important and helpful information and advice. I still hope to share helpful and informative advice. Like I said, it's just going to look a little bit differently moving forward. So with that wisdom in place, I'm actually going to rewind us to pick us back up on that timeline. I am going to reshare parts of the update to my journey to medical school video that I uploaded in 2022, but it's going to be a redacted version. I went back and watched it and I'm like, dang, there's so much context in here. I really don't want to have to refilm the whole thing. It's actually really kind of cool to see baby Brelynn as I was documenting my journey to medicine at that time. Again, I apologize in advance at the fact that this is a multi-part video, but I love seeing video diaries of myself over the years. So there is a lot of footage, literally from 2021 all the way to 2026. So we're going back to 2022 so we can pick back up where I left off in the Becoming Dr. Brelynn series. I've been working as a medical assistant for about 2 years, and I'm giving you all an update on those 3 short-term goals for my gap year. I will fill in the gaps and then we will move forward with the rest of the journey. The last time we talked, I was in the middle of earning my master's of physiology, which we can see behind me here. I have earned. I graduated in June of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. So my 3 short-term goals when moving back home to Maryland were that I wanted to increase my undergraduate GPA, I wanted to earn a high MCAT score, and I wanted to gain medical experience with references. I can say that I have done 1 out of those 3 things on my list here. And first off, I didn't even attempt or thinking about doing undergraduate courses once I finished my master's program. 1, because it was really difficult to manage, even just studying for the MCAT while also working, as well as I was focusing on the MCAT for a large portion of this whole time that I've been out of school for the past 2 years. Speaking of the MCAT, I don't even like to say the M word because I'm not a fan of the medical college admissions test at all. I did end up retaking it, and it was a very long and hard journey. I also used my Princeton books, and I had a lot of other resources. Overall, I feel like I had a good basis, but I really struggled with test anxiety. No matter how many full-length practice tests I was able to take, I was never able to make my goal score, and I took so long to study, probably too long. I originally started studying in September, and then I restarted the program. I started over in November or December, and then I started over again in January. I pushed back my test from wanting to take it in January to March to April and then May. I finally took my MCAT on May 14th, 2021. I do have a vlog from that experience. If you guys want to watch it, I'll leave it in the cards up above. Because I was off of social media for 6 months during that time, I actually did a whole MCAT week with videos full of frequently asked questions in regards to the prep program that I use, the hotel that I stayed at, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I recommended, what my everyday looked like, etc. And I will also leave that in the cards up above for you guys if you want to check it out. Like I mentioned, I really struggled studying for the MCAT while working full time, so I did end up taking a leave of absence for work. During this time, I got a lot of hate when I would recommend that people would quit their job while studying for the MCAT, but honestly, that's the advice I wish somebody would have given me. And also, now that I have 2 experiences being a medical assistant at 2 completely different jobs, I can more confidently say that it is because of my work environment that I was not able to manage studying for the MCAT and working full time. However, there are probably a lot of places that you can do both if you find the right one. Unfortunately, the job that I chose right out of my master's program wasn't the best fit for me to study for the MCAT full time. Speaking of that though, one thing that I was able to do was gain medical experience in the field. For better or worse, my prayers were answered and I was able to work as a medical assistant and scribe and even do some non-surgical technician work at a gynecology office here in my hometown. I have no words to describe that experience. It was great. I gained a lot from that job. I learned a lot from that job. Unfortunately, it ended up being a toxic work environment, so I had to leave prematurely. And I do talk about that in my I Quit podcast episode. Make sure you guys check out A Work in Progress, the podcast, because I talk a lot about my journey to medical school and even the entire waiting period in my podcast series. But overall, my goal was accomplished with that, especially because I worked overtime basically every week. I had thousands of hours to put on my application. I learned more about the field that I want to go into. I'm still very secure knowing that I want to be an OBGYN, and I received a letter of recommendation. Hey guys, so update, it is January 20th. I have been denied from about 10 medical schools, and probably 15 medical schools. I have about 9 medical schools left. Today I interviewed for another job, because that's where we're at, and the point where I can't even stay at my current job because I'm just so restless to go. And it's really interesting because they are asking me, what are my current plans? And of course, obviously, it's January. It's possible that in June I could be in somebody's medical school. So I'm trying to keep the faith, but also realizing that 6 months is a really long time to stay at a place that I'm really unhappy. I'm telling these jobs that I wouldn't apply for a year or 2 out. This is my 3rd interview that I've had. This one is for a research job that I'm actually pretty excited about. The first interview that I had, I was not so excited about. I remember sitting there and just being so lethargic during my interview, and I'm a pretty good interviewer, but it's when I want the job, and I just felt myself being like, I don't want to interview a job. I want to interview for medical school right now. But I'm keeping hope alive, I'm keeping my faith, and all I need is one person to offer me a medical school interview. And it's January and the cycle doesn't end until the next one begins. That's my alarm to go start making breakfast. So you guys can see I literally put on a blazer over top of my scrubs so that I could do my interview. So let me go ahead and make breakfast and get ready for the day, because now I have to go to my current regular job that is driving me crazy, but you got to pay the bills. So just taking it one day at a time, trying to be grateful for what I do have, to see the glass half full instead of half empty. And like I said, just really take it one day at a time. It's not over until God says it's over, and I still have 6 months, if not more, to receive a yes. So I'm waiting for it. It's gonna come. Later on, I ended up switching over to being a pediatric medical assistant. That was also really interesting because I was able to work in various different specialties, such as endocrinology and GI, and I learned that I do not want to be a pediatrician. But that's hopping forward a little bit too much. The point is that after I took 6 months to study for the MCAT, I finally took the MCAT for the 2nd time on May 14th, 2021. Afterwards, I immediately started working on my application. I was very late to submit my application because during this time, I was trying to reverse reversed my burnout for studying for so long. I went on vacation. I competed for the Miss Maryland scholarship competition. I went back to work full time and I was learning a completely different position. I also started an internship in academic medicine, and then I finally submitted my application in August. I believe that I originally applied to about 5 schools, and then about every week when I got paid, I applied for 3 to 4 more schools. Now, I have hinted to this in a few of my videos, but I never officially did an MCAT score reveal. That is because I was extremely disappointed in my MCAT score. It is August 22nd. I took my MCAT 2 months ago. I took my MCAT 3 months ago. I had my scores back 2 months ago. And for the most part, I haven't been thinking about this. I've been avoiding this moment because I don't want the pain that may occur after it. But it's time. I'm like shaking. I have to check my MCAT score. I am so nervous. My scores were available for review on the EMC website 30 days after I took the test. We've waited long enough. It's just time. I have to do it. So it's low. I know that a lot of medical schools, they're gonna have a 500 cutoff, and I didn't make it. It's going to be hard not to be weeded out with these scores. I'm going to still apply because I'm this far in, and I just have to pray that I can get an interview with this score, because if I don't, then I would have to take this over again, because this is a low score. This is a very, very low score, and you don't hear many stories of people getting into medical school with this score. It was really upsetting to know that after all of the hard work that I put in for months, all of the overthinking and panic attacks and anxiety was honestly all for nothing, because I scored 5 points higher than I did my first time taking it my junior year, when I really didn't study at all. It just didn't make any sense, and I felt of course some anxiety during the test. I put a lot of pressure on it, but I tried my best to be as calm as possible during taking the test. So I really can't say that something went wrong the day of. I was never able to hit my goal score during a practice exam, and my final exam was a few points lower than what I had been scoring on all of my practice exams. So it was just a really disappointing moment. I opened up my scores. I didn't open them up until I was going to submit my medical school application, because I wanted my application to be done. That way I didn't reverse back and not press in. I was really, really sad, and I honestly went into depression when I found out my score, but I pressed submit, and then a few weeks later I started working on my secondary applications. I received secondaries from just about every school except for a few that I really did want to attend. I just wasted a lot of money. I knew that my MCAT score was really low, but I thought that it wasn't impossible for me to at least maybe get an interview with the score. So I don't regret applying this cycle, because I mean, you miss 100% of the chances that you don't take, and it allowed me to really get an understanding of the entire process, what I wanted my personal statement to look like, and what are all my different activities and categories. I really think that putting the application together is a lot more than people give credit to. It took me months to get things together, even though I had been preparing for applying to medical school for years. I think that because I've been a pre-med for so long, people think that I have applied to medical school a lot of times. This was my first and only time applying to medical school, and as a first-generation college student, I tried my best to get resources around. I read books, I reached out to mentors, I reached out to my classmates and peers, I had people peer review things. I mean, I tried to receive as much help as possible. but at the end of the day, I was a weaker applicant with lower statistics. So I wasn't necessarily upset that I didn't receive any interview invites. I was just really hoping for it, praying for it, like just thinking like maybe one school will see the good in me. And after the denied letters start pouring in one after another, I started to consider, okay, if I'm not going to get into medical school this year, if this cycle is unsuccessful, then what does that mean for me? What can I do next? I consider this to be my plan D because, of course, plan A was to go straight into medical school after Spelman. Plan B was to, okay, get my master's, then to go to medical school. In the middle of plan B, I realized, oh crap, I am nowhere near where I need to be. Plan C is going to be to study for the MCAT while working full time and then apply to medical school. However, the trajectory didn't look exactly how I thought it would. Like I mentioned, I wasn't able to really work and apply at the same time, and then I applied but super late, and then my application cycle didn't go how I thought it would because my MCAT score was low. So that left me to really look around to see what were my options. Obviously, I would probably have to retake the MCAT in order to be reconsidered from these medical schools because a lot of them let me know that MCAT score was a big reason why I wasn't able to be invited for an interview. Additionally, as a first-generation college student, I found it really hard to have relationships with medical schools, and I felt like I was just one little pin in a haystack, and that even if somebody were to give me a chance, that I would be weeded out by the system. So I really started to look at official postbacc programs that had direct linkages into medical school. That way, if I were to take more undergraduate classes or retake my MCAT, I knew that I was working towards a goal, and I also had people on the other side who were going to meet me halfway. This is where I really struggled because there weren't a lot of postbacc programs that I actually wanted to go to. I know that beggars can be choosers, but I felt like I wasted 2 years of my life getting my master's of physiology from NC State University when in reality it barely helped my application. And then for 2 years I was in a state and a city that I didn't want to be in. For one of those years I was living alone virtually. So if I was to go to school again and do another postbacc program, this was going to have to be a true postbacc or true special master's program, which again I talked about in previous videos, that actually had a direct linkage to their medical school, and it was a medical school that I would want to attend in a city and state that I would like to live in, because we're talking about the next 5 to 6 years of my life. I've realized that I do not love North Carolina, at least not Raleigh. So I didn't want to apply to schools that I didn't want to be in, even if they had a really okay or good or reasonable postbacc program. That left me with very few options, but I knew one option I definitely wanted to take, the first program that I applied to, and it was literally like fate because the day before my last day of work after I quit my job, I ended up getting my first interview invitation from them. I was out to dinner with a friend and I remember literally just crying on my way home, like finally. I had been waiting for an interview invite for months. I had been waiting and practicing and praying, and I finally got my interview. I've also applied to one postbacc so far. That would be like one of the top choices that I would really want for another master's, just because it would be in Atlanta and it's another really great pipeline and it's at an HBCU, but obviously I'm still trying to hold on to my plan A. We're still in this crazy waiting season. I got an email, and this is for their master's program, their Master of Science in Medical Science program. So far this has been the only postbacc that I have applied to. Obviously I spent so much time and money and effort and tears and blood and sweat into my medical school application this year. I have been so ready to move on to this next chapter in life. I've been so ready to close all of these old and dry and stale and toxic chapters and move on to something new and fresh. And I really know that that means that I don't want to be here in Maryland, specifically next year, and I really want to be in a community where I can learn and grow towards becoming a future Dr. Brelynn, whether that's in a medical school or it's in a postbacc program or another master's program. But specifically my goal was to be somewhere where I felt like I was being productive. I felt like I was really making strides into getting into medical school and where I was just genuinely happy. I'd quickly become my first choice for my medical school applications, but it was the first school that I got denied from. With that in mind, I knew that if I was going to apply to postbaccs again, that I was going to apply. So I've known for about a week now that I have an interview today. I've done all my research, a lot of mock interviews, and I just feel really ready and prepared. So I just wanted to update you guys, catch you up on everything that's going on. I'm about to roll up my hair and wash my face and go to sleep, and we have to wake up 8 a.m. for our 9 a.m. interview. Overall, I do feel like I'm ready and I'm prepared, so Tomorrow is the day. Good morning. It's interview day. I just got really nervous because I'm on Zoom right now. It's actually my break time, so I'm a part of group B for the interview section. So I just finished having like the whole welcome session with the director of the program, and now I basically have like 25 minutes to go eat breakfast or go eat lunch before I have my interview at 10:30. So I'm about to go eat breakfast. I thought I was gonna have enough time, but I was also just like trying to really like get in my head zone and like make my bed and look at my cute little, I was doing way too much this morning. It started at 9 a.m. I wanted to be on by 8:45 because people like to start early, they like to start talking. So I was on with my camera off until 8:55. This is a 10-minute beat, y'all. I put my hair in a ponytail. I couldn't decide, but I thought better safe than sorry, so put my hair in a ponytail. This is the interview outfit of the day. I got this shirt from Shein, I believe, and then I'm wearing some leggings. And yeah, this is my little setup here with my Zoom. So I'm gonna go just make me some quick oatmeal, and this is what you can see from my Zoom basically. So you see my little flowers in the back with like a little candle going and my little plant here. Interview season. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make me some breakfast, and then I'm gonna come back and honestly just prep for my interview. I'm just gonna get in the right head zone and stuff and make sure that I'm here by 10:25. I also need to get my ID because I have to have my ID for this, I guess, to show that I really am who I say I am. So okay, see y'all later. First interview done. I think it went really well. She asked me basically all the questions that I thought she would, you know, in regards to like, why would this program be different than my other program? What am I really looking forward to getting out of it? She asked me if I did any research. She asked me if I had like any clinical experience. You guys know I could talk to anybody, honey. So we were talking, and I think her responses were really funny because she was like, oh, very good. Very good, very good. Or she was just like, wow, that's a very long answer. And I was like, oh, let me shorten my answers. Yeah, it was very hard to kind of like read her, but she was nice. So like, I hope she liked me. She said that she hopes that she sees me next year. I'm hoping that's a good sign. Who knows? Who knows? I feel like overall it was a pretty like easy interview because I expected for them to say everything that she asked me. I had an answer to everything. I think that I did a really great job of like taking my time and going after everything. I talked about like my OBGYN story. I talked about the maternal health mortality rates. I talked about even just kind of like the ways that I wanted to improve from undergraduate and like the mistakes that I made in undergrad. So yeah, I think that my answers were just really long because I wanted to hit everything. And so it was really academic based. Like she asked me to tell me about myself, and I definitely mentioned like pageantry, content creation, stuff like that. But she didn't really ask me any like personal questions other than that. Like I said, she did ask me about research, and I told her that I'd done multiple research, but I specifically focused on the one where I went to Trinidad and Tobago and I did research on the infant and mortality rates. Talked about that because that's the one where I've done like a poster presentation for. And yeah, so I'm excited. So the next thing is we're going to have a student panel with the current students. At the beginning, we had kind of like a welcome session where she went over all of the information for the program, and then I'm going to go into the break room again. I'm going to have another 30 minutes, and I'll be the second group to go for my second interview with the second faculty member. And then after that, it's going to be like a closing ceremony. So that's the run of the show for today. We're about halfway through. I'm excited to hear what the current students have to say. I do have some questions for them, so I look forward to being able to ask my question. I didn't really get to ask a question during the beginning part because she had a presentation beforehand, so she answered all of my questions, and I really try and get one question in. So I hope I can ask some of the students a question. I reached out to my mentor, let her know how everything was going. I also actually ended up texting one of the members who were on is a second year, and she gave us our number afterwards, and I was like removed from the group before she could answer my question. One of my last questions. I asked like 3 of them. So I texted her, she just texted me back, and she also said, "You're welcome, good luck, I hope to see you next year." I hope so too, sis. Okay. It's done. Oh, child. Okay, so after I answered my first question for her, she literally stopped me in my tracks and was like, "Oh my goodness, you speak so well." She's like, "You are so articulate." And she was just like, just singing my praises before I could really answer the question. And she interrupted me a lot, but I felt like it was definitely more of a conversation. The first one, I was like answering the question. She was like, "Okay, excellent, very good." And I was like, are you listening to what I'm saying? So she said that she would be very surprised if I wasn't in the cohort in August. So I feel good about it. She didn't really ask me that many questions. I think that once she got a gist of like me and the fact that I knew why I was there and what I was doing, she was kind of just like, "It's a yes for me, dog." And I'm just going to be praying. I'm just going to be praying to hear back, and this is the place for me. Before I go, I'm going to send thank you emails to everybody who I got to speak to today. Keep me in your prayers. Future vlog, but the interview went great. It was amazing. I felt even more in love with the program. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, I ended up being put on their wait list, and then a few weeks later after that, I was denied from the program. I was super upset about this because honestly, this was the only program that I had applied to because it was one of the only programs that I wanted to go to. I had to go back to the drawing board and apply to some more programs. Again, I was being very picky, so I only applied to 2 programs because their slogan was that they teach their students how to learn. And I felt like something that I really needed in order for me to be successful in medical school, retaking the MCAT, my step 1, step 2 in boards, was for me to truly learn how to learn. That way I could be successful in these medical classes and eventually become a doctor. Shortly after applying to this program, I ended up receiving an interview invite. This is my second interview of the season. I was like, okay, y'all, it's interview season. And that interview cycle was very, very interesting. Good morning. We are back with another update. It is April 25th. 10 a.m. Today I have my interview. Is their official postbacc for underrepresented minorities. So I feel excited about this interview. I was waitlisted, which was pretty upsetting because I feel like my interview went really well. I don't know what went wrong. I feel like I didn't speak enough about the gaps in my application or my MCAT score. I'm not really sure what went wrong, but it was definitely disappointing because I really want to do that program. Although I really do want to move to a new city or state, I do love DC, and if I was able to go to that school, then I would probably move actually in DC and not so far out here in Maryland. So I just started my new job. Last week was my second week of work, and I had to take off 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. They said you have to have off from 9 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. both days. And I was like, this is just my 3rd week of work. Like, I really don't want to ask for that many days off, but I did. And during my interview with my job, I told them, hey, I am on wait list for a few programs, so it's a possibility that I could not be here for longer than a few months. It just depends on how the cycle goes. In my mind, I know I'm not staying there for longer than 6 months because I'm starting school somewhere. So with that in mind, I kind of did bring that back up, like, hey, ended up hearing back from the school and I have an interview and it's for 2 days, whatever. My interview is at 1:30. Let me pull up my little schedule. So we just finished the candidate orientation, all joined the Zoom so you could see all the different interviewers. They were super friendly, super down to earth. They made us feel very comfortable. And after they were talking to us and we all introduced ourselves, that was it. That's all they did. They didn't give us any information, any background. I was hoping that they would tell me everything that I wanted to know or needed to know about the program at that time, but they didn't. So I have 2 interviews today. My first one is at 1:30 and my second one is at 5:30. So I'm going to spend this time now to make breakfast and do my own research. Of course, I did my research before I submitted my application, but I started my application in January, and then once I got waitlisted, which was in March, then I ended up sending my application. So I just want to make sure that I go over it. I also read on Reddit that you should know your application inside and out. And I feel like I don't really remember what I put. So I'm going to go back, read through my application, read through exactly what it's about, their mission statement, things like that. And then, yeah, I'll get ready for my interview at 1:30, then do my second interview at 5:30. I'll check in with you guys to let you know how both of those go. Tomorrow, the day looks a little bit different. In the morning, there's an interactive learning exercise. I don't know what that is. I'm going to reach out to my Spelman sister who did this program and ask her exactly what that is, because they're kind of being very secretive on the student forums online. So I'm guessing it's something that you just are not supposed to share. So that's tomorrow at 11:30. 5 to 6 p.m. there's a question and answer session. So yeah, that's the gist of the next 2 days. This is my little interview outfit. I bought this new blazer, but I feel like it looks very like bulky. Like I look like I'm thick, you know? I tried to wear it with like more of a streamlined shirt underneath of it, but it looks a little casual. I may switch my blazer because I don't know. By the way, I am filming on my phone because I lost my vlog camera. Yay. But the show must go on. After we introduced ourselves, I had 2 interviews. And let me tell you, these were some of the hardest interviews I had ever had. They really made me think about things that I had never thought of before. They were testing my character, my thought processes, and so I just finished my first interview. And I mean, it wasn't hard. I just need to better understand what I'm going to say to certain answers, because sometimes I just don't know the answer to things. And like, just like me, I think that he just tried to poke holes through everything. I mean, he asked me about, we went into the detail with the red flags in my application, and he asked me about stuff in undergrad, stuff in graduate school, what I could do better, what I could do differently, what is he supposed to go back and then tell the committee if he were to advocate for me. And it was just a lot of stuff where it's kind of just like, I tried to the best of my ability. I think I was rambling a little bit too much, but I was nervous. I don't know about that one. I think part of him was impressed. You know, I told him about the work that I do with insert name here in my initiative, and traveling to Trinidad and Tobago and doing research on infant and maternal mortality, and kind of just like why medicine. I don't know about that one. Hopefully my second one goes a little bit better since I'm a little bit warmed up, but I am definitely nervous. I'm sweating. I look like a grease ball. Okay, y'all. So second interview is done. So that one, first of all, they moved it up. It was supposed to be at 5:30 and they moved it up until 3:30. Luckily, I was just sitting here doing work on my laptop. So I was like, okay, cool. I ended up taking off my blazer because I felt like it just didn't look good. And I was sweating. Okay, I was sweating. So I took the blazer off. So my interviewer was a 4th-year medical school student who did the program, and he just matched into residency. I would just say both of these interviews were intimidating. Like, I felt like I didn't know what to say. I felt like I wasn't saying the right thing. I felt like I wasn't impressive. He didn't go into as much as my grades. He gave me like a lot of scenarios, kind of like, what would you do with, what would you do with, what would you do with? And he just kept like pressing me. And I felt like really nervous and uncomfortable. He was asking me about kind of like, people like not wanting to work with you as in a team, and then like as a group, like during group projects, and then kind of like if a person was cheating, and then kind of like if something happened during residency. And it just kept like escalating and escalating. And if I would say one thing, he'd be like, well, if not that, then this, and then if not, and I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm saying the wrong thing. And I feel like I did say the wrong thing. When it came to kind of like, I won't give the scenario, but basically I felt like I said the wrong thing. That took up a good portion of the conversation. And so then he kind of had to walk me through kind of why he disagreed with what I said. And it's like, I corrected myself. Like, I ended up being like, okay, well, in this case, then this is what I would do. And he's kind of like, basically, it took you a long time to get there. And I'm like, oh crap. So yeah. And I'm really nervous because a lot of people have been asking me, like, you know, who did you reach out to about the program and stuff? And I applied to this program when I left Spelman. And so I asked my Spelman sister at that time. I hadn't reached out to her about this time because I already know what she has to say about the program. And he asked me specific names, like who did you talk to? So I'm like, I had to say her, because I'm like, I can't even think about who else was in the program. And she didn't have great things to say about the program at that time. So and he clearly knew that. He clearly knew that she wasn't going to say good things, because he just kept talking about, like, you know, you kind of take the experience for yourself, how everybody's experience is different. And, you know, just all these different things that just made me really just be like, oh crap, like, should I have said nobody? Would it have been better if I said that I did no research at all? He would push me a lot to where I would be so stuck and I didn't have an answer. Like, I'm like, I have nothing else to say. Like, this is what I had. This was it. This is all I have. And I just felt myself being stuck. So I don't know what he's going to say when he talks to the committee. I don't feel like these were great interviews, which makes me really nervous.
Particle, it's going down to go up.
Are there any questions?
No,
comments?
thank you.
Concerns?
No questions, comments, concerns.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, no concerns.
No? Okay. Excellent. Well, see you all at 5 p.m.
Y'all, I don't have any words. This man called himself the academic devil. Kind of like, dang, my second interview really didn't go that well. And he was really probing me. And I was like, I really don't feel like I did enough research about this program before I went into it. I mean, like, you know, I read what was on the description, but I didn't reach out to people like I know I should have reached out. So I reached out to my Spelman sister. And she literally was like, do not by any means do that program. She did the program, and that was also her second postbacc. And she ended up having years in between doing her basically own DIY postbacc before getting into Howard. She's like, it's just pimping all the time. But she's like, they take it to the next level where it's academic hazing. I was like, I have never heard anybody say that before. Like, that sounds absolutely crazy. It's a great school and it's a great program, and you feel like I'll be the difference, I'll make the change. But she was like, you won't. His experience is not like everybody else's experience. Like, you're just going to be fighting against the grain. Like, you're going to leave with your GPA being worse than ever before. Like, it's just not worth it. So I'm over here like, red flag, like, she is waving the red flag. So I go into today's interview like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay if I don't get this one. It sucks because it's like, it's closed. Being in a group setting like that, and he was recording it and watching us along with the dean, and for him to like just go over the questions, and you have to speak up for everything. And it's just kind of like, I'm a very outgoing person, but when it comes to my learning, like sometimes a little bit shy, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm really gonna like an environment like that. The second interview is over. Well, that was actually just the Q&A session, and it was very interesting because it's like, it seems like such a good idea because you don't have to retake the MCAT. You do well in the class, your stats stand as it is, so it's like a clean slate for you. You're putting all your eggs in one basket, so if you don't do well in the course and you don't end up getting into the medical school, which is what my Spelman sister was telling me, like, you're not going to be applying until probably October, if not November, like the end of the semester, and that's really, really late for application. Not really sure how I'm gonna do it. I guess I'll just have to see what the results are. But yeah, all of the students were like really nice, and it seems like everybody there enjoyed and they were happy with their decision, which makes it kind of like, oh wow, it's so crazy how I hear these things but I see something different. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna wait and pray and hear from God. I'm not gonna hear from them for another month, so let the wait continue. Finally, I ended up applying to one other program, ended up being eligible to compete again at the Miss Maryland Scholarship Competition, and I earned the title of Miss Cumberland, and I prepared to compete at Miss Maryland 2022 in June. Now, outside of medicine, I do have other goals and aspirations that I want to do, and one of those is to become Miss Maryland. So it's really interesting because I competed for 2 years. Last year, I was third runner-up to Miss Maryland, and I thought that I aged out, so I was no longer eligible to compete because there's like an age limit. They ended up changing the age limit for 1 year, and so instead of it being like my last year, now this was my last year to compete. I prayed about it, I dreamed about it, and I decided, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try one more time. So now it feels more than ever kind of like it was meant to be because I'm going back with a different force. It's a different team. It's so much is different, and I just feel like more than ever I could really be Miss Maryland, and something that I really want. And it's like when you get a second chance at something, it just feels like maybe that's why God wanted to keep me here in Maryland, is to become Miss Maryland and to do this thing that I've been dying to do for a really long time. I knew that I was going to be hearing back sometime soon, and I was at the gym and I got a random phone call. So obviously I don't answer because I'm working out. First, I saw that I got an email and I was like, not right now. Like, no, I'm not opening it up. You guys know me. It took me months to open up my MCAT score. I was like, I just can't. I got too much going on right now. I don't want to know. I'll check the email when I feel like I want to know. I don't want to know right now. Go home and I'm checking my phone and I'm like, oh yeah, I got all these missed calls today. Let me go ahead and check my voicemails. You guys know how voicemails do speech to text, so you can basically see exactly like what a person said. Reading this voicemail and it's like, hello, hi Miss Hunt, this is Dr. So-and-so. I'm calling from the program to congratulate you on getting accepted into our 2022-2023 cohort. I'm like, oh crap, like literally I've been waiting for an acceptance for months now, and when I got it I literally was like, oh my gosh, really? Like, no, I did not get accepted into this program. The rest of the message basically just said, you'll be receiving official documentation regarding this matter in your email by 7:30 tonight. Please be on the lookout for that email, as you will have until Friday, June 3rd by 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to make a decision regarding this matter. Congratulations again, and hopefully I'll see you on July 6th. So I'm over here like, whoa, this is a lot. I check, and mind you, they sent this to me. This was 6 p.m. 6:40 on May 31st. Not even a week to accept the offer. And then the crazy thing is, going back to the Miss Maryland situation, after I did my interview, I talked to a few Spell House graduates who also did the program, just to kind of ask them, you know, what do you guys think? What's your feel on it? And one in particular who was in the program this past year, he was like, you know what, it is a lot, but I do think that you should do it. Like, there's no way you're gonna get into medical school in 1 year with the poor MCAT score, like, and just go straight into a school like it's honestly like a cheat code. Like, you need to basically do the program. I'm like, I hear you, but like, nah. And he told me straight up, like, if you do this program, you are not going to be able to continue doing YouTube. You won't be able to post on social media, and you definitely will not be able to do Miss Maryland. And he's like, just the way that I was able to find that out before our call, we did a call on Zoom. He was like, the way I was able to find that out just based off of your social media in 10 minutes, he's like, they know all that's going on and they're not going to allow it if you're going to be in the program. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, no, it's not fair. Like, I understand, but it also like really bothers me because like, this is my outlet. This is how I express myself. This is my community of people. You wouldn't tell me like I can't call my mom if that's my community, and that's how, you know, it helps me move on to the next day. So I'm just kind of like, I understand that I cannot do this program and Miss Maryland at the same time. However, it's the only program that I got into. So I'm here at work. I brought my laptop out. It's 12:57 on Friday, June 3rd, and I am about to open up my acceptance letter and look at my offer and submit it. It's due today by 6 p.m. so I just want to get it done. This letter of understanding, it says, I understand the program requires my full-time attention. I commit to suspend all social media accounts and to not engage in employment. I didn't know that I can't win. Obviously, I put in all of this work to prepare for Miss Maryland, and I only had a couple of days to decide. So I accepted the offer to do the program with the understanding that I find out if I will be Miss Maryland or not on June 25th. If I become Miss Maryland, I can't defer the program because they don't allow you to, but I'll let them know, hey, I received this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Maybe I'll apply again next year to do the program. That if I'm Miss Maryland, I will not do the program. But if I do not become Miss Maryland on June 25th, I have to get myself up and ready for the program by July 6th. In my mind, I'm trying to prepare for Miss Maryland. I'm trying to prepare to be Miss Maryland, to be crowned, to earn the job, to get the promotion of Miss Maryland on June 25th. Only have the opportunity to be Miss Maryland this year. And again, it's a lot of pressure. My mom is like, okay, but if you're not Miss Maryland, like, start packing, because you're going, like, we're looking up apartments. We're like, we need to sign the lease. You've got a week after Miss Maryland. What are you going to do if you don't win? You're going to need to start preparing now. So that's where I'm at right now. Absolutely frazzled. And I thought that it would be interesting to film and update you guys here at this point, because in a month from now, life is going to be completely different. I'm either going to be changing my pre-med gap years in a completely different way as Miss Maryland, or we finally got the answer that we wanted and the waiting season is over and I'll be preparing a program. I have to do so much to get into the medical school, but I do not have to retake the MCAT. So I'm just trying to switch my mindset over. I'm just trying to tell myself, hey, it's a win-win situation for me. In July, I will either be excitedly preparing for Miss America or preparing to go. It's a win-win situation. God is funny though, because he's like, I don't know which way he's leaning, because I'm like, what are you doing here? I don't know. We're gonna see. Mind you, I'm at work, so I haven't told my job yet, like, that I got accepted into the program, because if I'm Miss Maryland, I may be able to work a little bit here and there. I don't need to completely quit, but if it's over, you can't work at the same time. So today's Friday. I sign in at Miss Maryland on Monday, and by Saturday, I'll have my answer. So all these months leading up to July, I am focusing on Miss Maryland. Miss Maryland week comes, and while I'm there, I ended up getting a waitlist notification from Meharry Medical College. It's actually crazy because I talked about this in a previous Becoming Dr. Brelynn video. When I first was applying to postbacc and master's programs, I knew about Meharry Medical College, but I didn't know about this particular program. So I applied to their Master's of Public Health program, and I got in. And when I found out that they had this program, I asked if they could switch me around, but they said no. This program is a 10-month degree granting program to strengthen your competitiveness and academic preparation for entry into medicine or dentistry by gaining advanced medical training in basic sciences, including biochemistry, cell and molecular biology, genetics, microbiology, physiology, anatomy, neuroscience, pathology, and pharmacology. Obviously, you guys don't see a crown on my head, so I did not end up becoming Miss Maryland until I had no other choice to prepare to matriculate in the program. I can't even lie to you guys, I was so sad. I was so afraid to go to this program. Like, my body was rejecting it. There were just so many red flags, so many reasons why I didn't want to do the program, but it was my only option. And I knew that it didn't make any sense if I tried to tell people I don't want to go for medical school. It didn't make any sense, but I knew it wasn't right for me. The pageant ended on Saturday. As soon as my name wasn't called into the top 4, the first thing that went through my mind is, oh crap, I'm going. And I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And I'm sitting here literally just trying to mentally prepare myself. On the 3rd day of me crying in my bed after Miss Maryland, I ended up receiving an email from Meharry Medical College. Dear Brelynn, on behalf of the School of Graduate Studies and Research at Meharry Medical College, we are pleased to offer you admission to the Master of Health Sciences degree program. Accepting me into their Masters of Health Science program. They sent that email on a Wednesday, and I had to accept by Friday, and Georgetown was starting the next Wednesday. You guys, I have been Mr. Krabs, okay, over here. Just so many major life decisions have been thrown at me the past couple of weeks, and I have been spiraling, to say the least. I really mapped it out and did a lot of pros and cons lists. I did a prayer and fast. I spoke to anyone and everyone from previous schools to mentors. The program at the core is what I need. I need that boot camp that's going to teach you how to learn. I need that one-on-one staying on you. I want the resources, but I also need community, and I need Black people. I love us. I finally made my decision. I decided I will be going back to school and attending Meharry Medical College. Woo! obviously super excited, but I'm not gonna lie, I do have some concerns. Definitely nervous about having to retake the MCAT and really just having to redo this entire cycle. And I actually have a bit of a plot twist. You guys will not believe what I found out after accepting the Meharry program, reversing my acceptance to program. You guys are literally not gonna believe this. Meharry sent us an email to RSVP for the new student orientation. When I sent him my RSVP, I saw that the orientation was going to be virtual. I didn't think much about it until I officially received an email that said the Master of Health Science program in the School of Graduate Studies and Research will be virtual for the 2022-2023 academic year. As some have asked about the possibility of an in-person option, online courses in the Master of Health Science are not an option, but rather the singular program delivery method. In the meantime, if you have any questions, blah, 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 blah. You can imagine my frustration, my confusion. I was upset. I felt betrayed. I literally felt sick to my stomach because, again, I mentioned to you guys that I finished my Master's of Physiology program completely online in my apartment by myself in Raleigh, North Carolina, in a city that I, knew nobody. Like, I was there by myself finishing that program, not because I wanted to, but because we were in the middle of a pandemic and I would not purposefully choose to go back to that environment again. I did not want to do virtual schooling, and it's one thing if it was my only option, but knowing that I gave away a toxic environment for like no environment at all, especially when I thought a big pro to Meharry was going to be the community, but I'm like, there is going to be no community because we're going to be virtual. I'm like, I have a lot of regrets. I feel like I wouldn't have chose this program if I knew that, or maybe I would have, but I at least wish I would have known beforehand. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I started spiraling like, oh my gosh, I made the bad choice. Like, I thought God told me to go with this one, and maybe I didn't hear him correctly, even though it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. I will be attending Meharry Medical College, receiving my Master's of Health Science in their 10-month program to matriculate into their medical school. This will be my last year as a pre-medical student. However, it looks like it's going to be virtual. So that's going to close out part 1. Before we move on to the next chapter, there is homework. You have some pre-reading, aka some required videos to watch before we jump into next video in this series. Obviously, that was an archive rewind video. So continuing on in the Becoming Dr. Brelynn playlist, after I matriculated into Meharry Medical College. By the way, hope you guys realize that I'm not redacting Meharry because we all know we all know that I went to Meharry. I think it would be weird if I just pretended that I didn't. But yes, anyway, I have a playlist of my Meharry Medical College grad school vlogs. I have a podcast episode recapping my first semester of pre-medical school. That is episode 20 of A Work in Progress. And I also have a podcast episode about what I wish I knew before taking the MCAT 3 times. That is A Work in Progress episode 21. I also have a podcast episode called Beware of the Glamorous Gap Year. This is a Work in Progress podcast episode 24. A lot of people still to this day DM me asking me, do I recommend the NC State program? Do I recommend Meharry? I'm not saying that I don't, but I'm not saying that I do. In short, a lot of these programs are a cash grab. They're capitalizing off of pre-med, pre-dent, and pre-vet, and pre-PA students. They know how desperate we are for these type of programs in order to move into the next stages of our career. It's not a blanket statement, but yeah, a lot of times they don't really care to help you get into your professional school program. But again, we can't talk here. Email me. Actually, watch that video, Beware of the Glamorous Gap Year, as well as all the videos that I mentioned as your pre-reading. And I'll meet you back here for part 2 of my 8-year non-traditional pre-medical journey. Make sure to live each day to the fullest because you only live once. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.